Welcome to the Real Estate Pros Show, where we interview real estate investing professionals from coast to coast, as well as the service providers that serve the real estate investing industry. Our goal is simple: share what's working now to help you improve and scale your business to the next level and meet the pros that can help you get there. Real Estate Pros is powered by Investor Fuel, America's leader in helping real estate investors and professionals build the business you need to live the life you've always dreamed of. Let's start today's show. Property insurance for real estate investors doesn't have to be difficult, but it does need to be there to protect you when you need it. MyInvestorInsurance.com not only provides insurance at 15 to 30% cheaper than traditional agencies, it's built specifically for real estate investors like you. You can set up an account in about 2 minutes, get quotes on properties, turn on and turn off insurance for your fix and flip or rental properties in around 2 minutes without having to talk to anyone directly, all through our portal. There's no better way or faster way to make sure you've got the coverage you need to protect you, and no more lengthy policies either. Once you're set up, you're billed monthly and prorated by the day for however long your policy is active. It's powered by MSI, the third largest independent MGA, with 1.5 million customers and more than $1 billion in cumulative premiums written. Get set up today in about 2 minutes at myinvestorinsurance.com/fuel.
Hey folks, welcome back to the show. I'm your host, Dylan Silver, and today on the show, it's my privilege to have real estate investor, tax lien and foreclosure specialist real estate broker in Arizona, Willie Masters. Willie, welcome to the show.
Hey there, Dylan. Glad to be here.
It is a pleasure to have you. And I always like to start off at the top by asking folks how they got into the real estate space.
I'm actually not surprised. I grew up playing Monopoly as a kid a lot. And when I couldn't play with others, I played against the bank. And I would say that my most interesting experience with this was I was in junior college wanting to do real estate, but not as an agent, as a investor, and I wanted to find stuff, make deals, this kind of thing. And I came to realize that there was no college that taught that. Yep. So I dropped out of college. I decided to go back. They were offering a real estate agent class, and I thought, I'll go back and learn something here. And at the beginning of the class, the teacher asked every student, what is your real estate experience? And at the time, 3 people said they bought their own home. I had 9 properties. And everybody was like, woo. And I failed every test. I got an F on every test, and I dropped it mid-semester because they were teaching me things I didn't want to know about. I was learning to make some deals, but that was not what the class was about. And so I was probably at the time the most successful person in the class, and I I got an F on every test. I just dropped the class. It just was not mid-semester. It was not working for me.
Well, you know what? I think I've spoken to quite a number of real estate folks on this show. There's no clear indicator that having a degree makes you more successful, really, at anything at this point, is my perspective, but definitely in real estate. And then, there's some people who say, well, I just got my degree because I had, kids and I wanted them to go to school. And then there's other people who said, no, trades are the way to go, and so on and so forth. But my vantage point is like, there's money to be made out here in the trades, in sales, in real estate, and whatever you're doing, anything that you're doing, I encourage as many people as possible to get into real estate. You don't need a license. You don't need to, even have a giant portfolio, but it's a diversification, right? It's
Right.
got some money in the bank, got some money maybe in the market, and have maybe 1 or 2 rental properties. That can go a long way if you buy and hold.
But there's risk also. I had as a lot of investors do, I had a collapse. I got into a fight with HUD. I was a half owner on a 26-unit apartment complex, and they cleaned my butt. I mean, I'm really not sure how it all happened. To tell you the truth, I was younger and wasn't so experienced yet, but they had seized my bank accounts, they seized my properties, and then after they took everything, they sued me for $1.5 million, drove me into bankruptcy, and a lot of it was because I attempted to file a complaint on a lady at HUD who was, I thought, way out of her bounds, and
Yeah.
that triggered a response that I didn't like. But
It
that's
comes
what
personal,
happened.
you know?
So to start back from scratch, and things are going pretty well. Things are
You
going
know,
pretty
one of
well.
the things that I've noticed about real estate operators is you have to have like a a recency memory bias, you know, because if you think about
Yeah,
everything in the long term, then these things can become like doomsday, like, you know, what's going to happen in the future? Or you just talked about going through, you know, financial hardship and, you know, having, you know, litigation. It can be incredibly overwhelming. But at the same point in time, I've had a mentor tell me like stop worrying about, you know, what could happen with everything.
right,
One
right.
foot in front of the other, you know, these things happen. You're in real estate, legal happens, you know, you kind of have to understand that that's a risk when you're getting involved.
Stop living on an island and join the #1 mastermind in America for professional real estate investors. Investor Fuel is a community of hundreds of the nation's top investors working together to build stronger businesses and better lives. In addition to the amazing community of real estate investors acting as a board of advisors for one another, Investor Fuel members have access to 100% funding on purchase and repairs for our members only, a health insurance program, and benefits and discounts that more than pays for the membership of most of our members, meaning it's actually costing you money to not be a member of Investor Fuel. If you're looking to scale your business and build a business that allows you to live the life of your dreams, please visit investorfuel.com today and book a call with our team.
There's no such thing as success within the circle of comfortability.
Yeah, that
And
doesn't exist.
although I did not graduate college, I do claim to have a PhD in the School of Hard Knocks. So I have learned to be smarter, wiser. I have been educated by myself and the world. They will educate you if you don't educate yourself.
Yep.
So I move smarter, a little quicker now, and safer. I don't. I'm not as risky. I don't take as much risk, and I don't think I need to, based on what I'm doing. There's not much risk at all. In fact, there's
Now,
hardly any.
I want to talk about being a broker, and then also you mentioned before hopping on here, you kind of old school and the new school, old school and the new school, not you know promoting a website. You know, a lot of your business is really old school, and I think everybody else is moving a different way. But you have such strong connections and well established that you're able to operate effectively, and then you're also working in the tax lien space, which is an interesting niche to be in as well.
Well, let me say this. I In business you learn to make money, but there's another way to make money also, and that's by saving it. And so, as I was starting to collect these properties, I realized that I could save money by becoming an agent because I could then list my own properties for sale and get them out there for the exposure. So I became an agent, not to become an agent, but to increase my bottom line by saving money. And this year, my broker, I've changed brokers a few times for different reasons, but this year my broker was retiring and said, "You need to, move your license or become your own broker." And I saw becoming my own broker as another way to save money, not because I wanted to become a broker. So even though I'm a broker, I don't have any agents under me. I'm not looking to hire any agents. I don't want the liability or the responsibility. I'll just do my own thing. But a lot of my moves over the last 5 7 years has been, and that's with attorneys as well, is reducing my costs to increase the bottom line. I've done a lot to do that. And when you say old school, I represent clients maybe once, twice a year at the most, people I might know, but 100% of my business at this point is all from properties I get through tax lien foreclosures.
Now, tax lien foreclosures, right? I'm going to break this down for people who might not be familiar, and you'll help me with this. So you have, you know, your mortgage, right, which is a lien, and then you have the taxes which you pay. And as far as I'm aware, every state has property taxes that you pay
Correct.
on
Correct.
on
And let me give just a little background for your people here. Property taxes are considered a superior lien over every other type of lien. So, and every county in the United States needs the tax money. And so every state has laws regarding taxes and foreclosures. And there's two different types of states. There's tax lien states and tax deed states. And the tax deed states are an investor buys a lien and they take it through the process after a period of time and it goes to a public auction. Tax lien states may have some of that or may not. In Arizona, if you go through the foreclosure process, it does not go to a public auction.
If you're looking for consistent, high-quality leads, look no further than Investor Machine. Investor Machine isn't just another agency. It's the most sophisticated, data-driven lead generation company on the planet for real estate investors, and serves the role of being not just a lead generator for your business, but a marketing partner that is helping you achieve your goals along the way. Go to investormachine.com to learn more and schedule a call with our team today.
So you have the great opportunity to actually become owner of the property. And so that has attracted most of the people that buy tax liens in Arizona are from outside Arizona, money managers, other big investors. I'm a local guy but this is 100% my job is tax liens and tax lien foreclosures.
So let's get granular. Let's talk about how you're finding these. So in Texas, we have like Texas Tuesday, we call it, because it's first Tuesday of every month. However many counties there are in Texas, 200 plus, and you've got the foreclosure auction. You've got the tax lien side, which is typically run by the sheriffs, and then you've got just what seems like a gaggle of other people showing up for all the people who are delinquent on their mortgage.
But
you're
those
mentioning
those are public auctions.
a different scenario that you've got in Arizona, right?
You are competing with people that got money. And big investors, people that can outbid you. So it's harder to get a good deal there.
Yeah.
In the tax lien foreclosure world in Arizona, there's no competition. Once you get the lien and you're going through the foreclosure, it does not go to public auction. You're not competing against somebody to get the property, unless you hit like these sharks, like I was telling you about. But otherwise, a judge rules and the property is yours. So whatever property you get with the equity there, it's all yours. It's all yours.
Well, let's get a little granular. How are you finding these properties, and then how are you putting an offer on them?
Okay, in Arizona, what happens is in February every year, the counties hold a public auction for the liens. And you don't bid on the amount, you bid on the interest rate. It starts at 16%. And the person that's willing to take the least interest is the winner. And the rates now are typically down to 0 to 3% because of competition. So I bid 0%. Now it's possible I might get something above that because somebody stopped another bidder stopped at 4% or 2%. But most of my liens I get are 0%. And I don't get everything I bid on, which tells me that there's other people bidding at 0% also. And so what are you doing? You're buying a lien at 0%. So if the owner pays it off, you make nothing. Nothing. And as funny as this sounds, this is the only business I know that when you get a check in the mail, you're sad.
So
because you don't want the check.
You want
the property.
Yeah. And
so
when you're making these offers, it's with
these are all checks I got this month from people paying off their taxes.
How long do they have to do that?
They have 3 years before the foreclosure starts. And once the foreclosure starts, if they pay off their property taxes, they also owe all the attorney fees. So it's pretty typical in the first 6 to 8 months after an auction in February. I probably get checks to pay off 25 to 30% of the liens that I purchased.
So then at that point, what happens? I guess it's a wash, right?
I'm out. Yeah, well, I lose because it costs $10 per lien to buy. But the people don't pay, I don't get that $10 reimbursed. So that's a loss. The idea, this is a long game. The idea is that you will eventually get properties enough to cover those losses throughout the 3 years when people pay off their taxes.
Now,
And
do they have a redemption period, like a 2 year something or other after it
in
goes?
Arizona, um, you have 3 years once the foreclosure starts. The attorney can take 6 to 9, 12 months to do the foreclosure. You can pay it off during that time as well. So you got 4 years after it's sold. And then once the property is given to you by a judge and you are now the owner, Arizona law does allow them to come back up to 1 year and get their property back if they were not personally served. Because
Oh,
sometimes we can't find somebody, and so the service is by publication. I've had that done one time,
mm.
and I got a condo. It's the only condo I've ever gotten, and it already had a tenant who was paying rent. So I actually got this condo, and I collected rent for 3 months before the guy sued to get it back, and he had to pay all my costs, all my attorney costs, all his attorney costs, and he got the property back. But
Wow.
if he wasn't dodging service, and so we had to publicize it, he wouldn't have got it back. But he did, and he paid a lot more than he would have had to pay if he just paid his taxes.
If you're a new or newer real estate investor looking to launch or grow your real estate investing business, please check out Investor Fuel Club. It's a coaching community, but unlike anything you've ever seen before. And you can actually partner with members of our mastermind from coast to coast on deals right in your market. There's no better opportunity to build a consistent business than to literally partner with pros to help you avoid costly mistakes, avoid the need for capital to do deals, and help you eliminate your fears as you're starting your business. Learn more about Investor Fuel Club at investorfuel.com/club.
So this goes to just how regional real estate is, and I've talked about this on other podcasts, but if you're, active in Arizona, you're competing with people who have subject matter knowledge based on these specific rules, right? And
Right.
so talking about bidding on the interest rate of the liens, it's a totally different system than everywhere else. Are you seeing people from out of state come in state and do this process, or because it's
Yes.
so regional?
Yes. I do track the statistics of the people who are the big players in these auctions. And you do get a lot of, it's funny because not only money managers, but banks use front companies to buy tax liens because if they get a foreclosure, they don't want to scar the name of the bank saying they took property from somebody. So they actually have holding companies that they use to buy tax liens, and it's a great safe investment for them to park money at an interest rate higher than they're paying at savings. So if they are taking your money and putting it in savings, and they're paying you 1%, and they turn around and buy tax liens at 5 to 16%, they're making money on your money.
Now, if they don't, if of course, most of these people aren't going to get current, right? So the bank is then going to be responsible for the property. Is that the business? I mean, I imagine it's kind of a unique niche thing for a bank to be involved in. Are they then selling it immediately? What's
Yeah,
their
they,
strategy?
they
What's
turn
their
around and
idea?
sell it for profit.
Okay.
Um, and let me give you, I got some statistics here for you I thought you might
Yeah,
like from my
let's do it.
business here, okay? I started in May, I started doing foreclosure. I was buying liens in 2016. My foreclosure started in 2019, okay? So from 2019 to today, I have gotten 280 properties, 11 so far this year, and I have 33 currently in foreclosure. And it sounds exciting. Wow, 280 properties. That's a lot. But
Yeah.
these aren't all houses and condos. These are mostly small, cheap lots and land. And
Hmm.
so I have, things worth 7 to 12, 13,000 is what I typically get because that's what people typically don't care about and let it go or it
So
gets lost.
Yeah, why I mean the I understand maybe the probate heirs, that type of thing. Is there
Right.
ever a case where you're coming across people who have equity in like an infill lot and they just whatever they don't sell it with a licensed
I
agent for some reason
I
and
printed
it comes
out
across.
my biggest score ever that happened this year. This is my escrow checks. Okay.
Yeah.
Is that number there?
It's blurry on my screen, but it's only because we're buffering
Oh,
here. You'll have to read it for me.
$288,078. And I got a nine
288,000.
thousand dollar commission also as an agent on that property that I sold for myself.
What was that? Was that what describe that deal to
It
us?
was 80 acres of farmland that was owned by 34 people.
Oh
And
yeah.
years ago, there was some people that owned it, and they passed to their family, and then their family. Half the 34 people were dead. Nobody was paying property taxes because they can't do anything with it. And so this was probably, my attorney said this was his most complicated case he ever did. But it was 80 acres, and I sold it to the neighbor who owned 250 acres, and so no, 2,500 acres, and so he now owns a bunch more acreage. So
So in a
I
deal
get
like that,
scores every now and
in a
then. I
deal
get a
like
score.
yeah, in a deal like that where you have, so many heirs, right? But it's in a foreclosure. It's in a status where the tax lien is delinquent.
Right.
Is the attorney then still having to get the heirs to sign off on it for any reason, or because they're not paying on it once it goes to
Well,
foreclosure effectively?
in this case, most of them, he found some that were dead. He found some that were alive and had them served, and some he had to do by publication.
I got you.
So
So it's a cert. Okay.
yeah, and the publications typically happen in some obscure Chinese or Jewish newspaper. Nobody's going to see it anyway, but it still meets the criteria for the law. Um, people don't read the paper much these days anyway. So it's
I've seen that happen out here, in Texas when we have these auctions. I swear there's people, I shouldn't say swear, but I firmly believe there's people coming out to some of the auctions who don't even want the people to know that an auction's happening. They just like hop out of a car. I've seen this happen. Hop out of a car, read a little thing off. No one bids, and then they're out. I'm like, did he just try to auction off a house? And it's because, they've got some guideline that says they have to, announce it at least. And
right.
so that does happen. But so many heirs. You're talking about this deal, 80 acres, right? I think for people who don't have an attorney or someone that they're working with and they're trying to sort it out themselves, I mean, I've certainly gone down that route and seen that it's incredibly complicated. So I think
It is.
I at least think it's beneficial. It's of course very expensive, but it's beneficial to be working with an attorney who's very knowledgeable in real estate law.
Right. And there's there are complications, and probably the complications that try to get me the most here is legal descriptions on properties, because you
Yeah.
have to have the proper legal description. And on some of these different lots and lands that I get, the attorney used the wrong one, or something was missing, and so the assessor's office won't transfer ownership to me. So they have to go back and reopen the case and get that corrected, and then reclosed and new deed issued. But I am now doing a lot of that front work for the attorney to clarify, identify all that stuff, and give. I do the title searches either myself, or I use title companies to get me title reports.
Yeah.
So because there's sometimes they miss people because the software they use isn't as good as perhaps an escrow company,
Yeah.
and sometimes escrow companies make mistakes too. So I try to vet all that stuff before and turn it over to the attorney with all the information they need to file the complaint. So these are all things I've learned to try to mitigate time or costs on on a project, and so it does get involved, and so that's why this is now my full time job.
Yeah, I
Let me
can
tell you.
imagine.
Let me tell your investor people here something I thought was my biggest way of operating here. When I moved to Arizona, I had a couple of bad real estate deals and this whole thing with HUD that cleaned me out. So I didn't really have any starting capital, but what I did was I converted my 401k into a self-directed 401k Roth. So by doing that, I'm no longer going online to manage my allocations to funds and so forth through some brokerage. I actually have checkbook control of my 401k. And I use my 401k to buy these tax liens. And the 401k forecloses with the attorneys through these tax liens. And so then when my 401k gets the property, I, as an agent, represent this entity to sell the property, and I can pick my own commissions, whatever I want. And so I live pretty cheaply so that I don't take on debt except for business stuff. And I just recirculate that money to grow as fast as possible. I don't live extravagantly at all. Sure, my lifestyle could be better, but it'll take capital out of my operate. And I'm in a growth mode because I got a little behind because of these past bad deals. But
Yeah.
I have 6 children and 13 grandchildren, and I want to leave them something.
Leave them
So
something. Yeah, I mean, the self-directed thing is huge, and I've had a
yeah,
couple people who do, self-directed IRAs in real estate. I forget the exact term. It might just be called like a real estate Roth or something like this. But you're
right.
using, basically retirement funds to buy certain assets. Now, from my understanding, I don't think it varies state by state, although it might. From my understanding, it can't be an active business, meaning you can't be actively and you yourself being a major operator, and has to be some level removed, arm's length or passive in some way, was my understanding. But it's very,
In some types of things, yes. With this, no. I have the checkbook. I can write. I can do write checks. I can make
Mhm.
deposits. So, and really, how it's supposed to be set up is that your 401k owns an LLC, and your LLC is the one doing the operating. But the way I had mine set up originally, which probably can't happen today. I have a business account as my 401k, and I actively write checks and do wires and do deposits. Every time I get tax lien checks, I redeposit them back into my 401k account. I use that to purchase liens, but you have a lot more flexibility and capital if you convert your traditional into a something that you can
You can
have a
use it
lot
for
more
real estate.
flexibility.
Yeah.
Absolutely, and it has grown quite well.
Willie, we are coming up on time here. Where can folks go to learn more about your business, to get in contact with you?
Every county is different. The state laws are the same, but every county operates differently. So I would recommend they go to their county treasurer and see how they handle their tax liens. That's the best place to start on the county treasurer websites. You want to make them your friends. I know pretty well the county treasurer staff in 5 or 6 different counties in Arizona, and I use them. They help me a lot in my business, and I drop donuts or whatever. You can buy some love in this business, and they're the ones that can really help you out quite a bit. Them and the recorders and the assessors. You need to be friends with all of them because they will help you. They will help you. That's the relationships you're building. And as an agent, most real estate agents do not enter this business. This is a very niche business because this is not a quick money thing. You are
Right.
not getting commissions and pay in a month or two, and they all have bills to pay, so they can't do that. But I have no debt except for credit lines I use to buy tax liens, and as I get checks in, I pay them back off. And so, but I got with these 33 foreclosures currently happening. I'll probably get 30 of them. By the time I get to this point, I've worked my stuff so well that I have a pretty high rate of success. But it's not a passive thing. You got to really work it, but you have to get tax liens or else you have no standing to get anything.
Yeah,
So
it's
that's
it's a strategy that requires some level of expertise for sure. Having that attorney is definitely I would say maybe a must-have. But I think this is such a niche space. It's interesting to talk to folks like yourself. I don't know if I've got the subject matter expertise to dive into it myself, but maybe at some point down the line I will if I have more of these conversations. Willie, it was a pleasure having you on the show here today. Congrats on all your success and to your continued success.
One thing I would beware people when they're buying tax liens, the assessor's office, when they split things up into parcels, they create a lot of junk parcels. And people buy the tax liens on these junk parcels and they lose their money because what are you going to do with a sliver of a sidewalk or an alley
Yeah.
or a piece of the street? I mean, there really is a lot of garbage or water retention corners. I mean, it's you got to be careful and make sure you do some homework because you can lose your money if you're not careful. And some money managers have gone out of business because they bought tax liens, woohoo, and they got a load of crap. So you got to be careful. But it's a good business. It's a long game, but it can certainly pay off. Absolutely.
Well, Willie, thank you so much for coming on here today.
You betcha. Enjoy. Go make some money.
Thanks for joining us for today's Real Estate Pros Show. You can learn more about the amazing benefits of the Investor Fuel Mastermind community, including surrounding yourself with hundreds of other rock stars, 100% financing for your deals, and members-only discounts from vendors you're likely already using that, as a member of Investor Fuel, will save you more than the cost of your membership. Visit investorfuel.com to learn more. If you're interested in joining us as a guest of this show, please visit investorfuel.com/pros to apply. You can also check the show notes for access to free resources, how to get access to world-class lead generation, and much more. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another episode. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next show.